I think the night sky is beautiful. I mean, the stars, when you can see them, are so lovely, and the moon in all of its phases is gorgeous. The funny thing is, even though I love the night sky, I didn't plan on personifying it in this way. See, a few months back I decided I wanted to make a custom Rapunzel doll with a more accurate dress and even longer hair than already on the doll. Trouble is, in order to do that, I need to reroot the doll's head, which is something I'd never done before. I decided to do a simple practice reroot that eventually turned into this project that I'm showcasing today. To begin, let's talk about the part that takes up the most of my time with any project, which generally is constructing the outfit. This dress was a blast to make. Originally, it wasn't even necessarily going to be for any certain doll. I was just in between projects and decided to use up some leftover fabric. I was just going to leave it at that, but then I thought about adding just a small touch of detail and went searching for obscure decorations that I could spare. Lo and behold, I found a Hobby Lobby bag full of star-shaped sequins that I had previously used years ago on a sculpture in high school. After the success I had with some of my previous projects, I decided to give these sequins a shot. Now, immediately after I made this choice, I knew I wanted to use a reverse ombre approach with these decorations. I gathered some small white seed beads and silver bugle beads I had on hand and got to work. Later I discovered that I didn't have nearly enough silver beads to finish the design and ended up buying more than enough extra beads when I went to go get a new tube. The final dress has a combination of gold and silver star-shaped sequins, gold and silver bugle beads, white seed beads, gold arrow beads, silver Swarovski crystals, gold Swarovski crystals, and some other tiny silver crystals that I've had for a very, very long time. It was actually during the process of beading this dress that I actually decided I wanted to use it for my reroot practice doll. Early on with this reroot project, I knew I wanted to go with an unnatural hair color, something a little more fun. I wanted to see the accomplishment in going from something regular to something with more pizzazz, especially since the project I was practicing for would be a very mundane change. While I was in the process of beading the dress, I remembered that the hair I had ordered was a mixture of black and gold, which happened to be a perfect match for the outfit. This realization actually flipped my design in a totally new direction. Art Deco. I love the 1920s style in almost every way. I love the fashion and the architecture. Art Deco is just my thing. And while the dress I made isn't so 20s in the usual flapper way, it isn't a far cry from some Hollywood fashion I found for the era in my little Google search worth of research. The color scheme reminded me of this era for no particular reason that I could really find, but I was hooked. I liked my ombre pattern, and against the black fabric of the dress, I couldn't help but think of it as a representation for the lovely night sky. This was about the time I came up with the name. In general, the title Portraits of the Night Sky really wouldn't make much sense for anything other than a doll or a real-life model. To help further personify the night sky through the doll, and to add a little extra 1920s touch, I made her a beaded hat. It looks similar to some tam hats, but it fits her head a bit like a turban. I quickly decided it only made sense to match this hat with an equally 1920s hairstyle. I took inspiration from what I found in my little bit of research appears to be called the Eton crop. I like the way the curls and details almost look like they are stuck to the woman's head. And considering the amount of hairspray I would need to get any of those formations to stay in place, it seemed like the easiest choice. The first step was obviously the removal of the doll's head. This is something I've done before, but this time I actually recorded this part of the project. My previous times doing this helped me a lot, but didn't prepare me for one unknowable fault. The plastic inside her head had torn on one side, making it difficult to remove. This didn't stop me though, and before I knew it, I was on to the next stage. I removed her face before continuing on with her hair any further. It seemed like a better idea to have the head ready for the repaint right from the point where the hair would be complete. Next, I cut off her hair and started to move into the unfamiliar territory of the reroot process. Removing the hair plugs on the inside of her head was a chore, but really more time consuming than difficult. After that, she was ready for the reroot. I know that's loud. And I'm probably not even actually going to keep this part in the video. This is just kind of me talking off the fly. So here she is. We're ready to go, kind of. I've never done this before, so this might get a little crazy. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got my tool and my size 8 needles and a tutorial that's going to teach me how to do this. So hopefully she turns out good enough that I actually end up finishing the doll, and anyways, here we go. It took me a few days and a few different sittings to get the final reroute complete, but afterwards she looked, well, kind of like a troll doll. I decided to let the glue inside sit the full 10 days the bottle recommended for it to cure before moving on to creating her hairstyle. I wasn't sure if this was necessary, but as a first-time doll reroute, I figured it was better to be safe than sorry. Unfortunately, I was unable to record the process of styling the hair. It took a lot of time for me to get the hairsprayed and cured and curled in the proper fashion. In the end, her side curls decided to flip a bit outward instead of staying close to her face, but I'm okay with that. It was a bit unrealistic of me to expect the curls to stick to her face like the base images I was looking at, especially when I still had her face to paint. This was good news though, since painting her face was the next step and the portion of the process I'm the most comfortable with. I really only used about 5 or so colors to complete her entire face. Her eyes are mostly comprised of black, white, brown, gold, and silver, and her lips only really add red into the mix. Her eyes are nearly completely gold, but I added a little brown to my color mixture so they would look more natural. The bright iris color complements the thick black lining of the outer eye. I tried to give her the heavy black eyeliner and mascara that you often see in lots of old 20s photos, especially of performers. Her lips are a very dark crimson, almost bordering on black. I chose to add the red instead of making her lips completely black to add another interest point. The pop of the red is just enough so that her lips don't feel like they fade in too much with the black gown and the heavy black eye makeup. Bringing all the concepts and themes of this doll together was the most exciting part of this project. The hat adds a nice focal point to the doll's head and contrasts the ombre on the bottom of the dress. Since the beads on the hat are so condensed in one location, there's a nice emphasis on her face. The ombre almost points upwards to her face, and the hat caps it all off right above.